Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And 10.1 is coming out literally next week. I think it's less than 5 days at this point, and we just got another round of class balance tuning. So if you were just starting to think about what you wanted to play, you might have to give it another rethink by the end of this video, because there are a lot of big implications, a lot of big buffs to some specializations that are definitely going to be eye-grabbing here in terms of their potential viability moving forward into this patch. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with news and changes related to World of Warcraft, entertaining and educational videos, then do make sure to hit the subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. I am working diligently to still be an excellent resource for you on my climb and goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers. So your support along that journey is greatly appreciated. So let's get started here. Blizzard. To address several points of overperformance and underperformance, we will deploy tuning and balance adjustments to many classes along with the Embers of Neltharion patch maintenance next week. We are also deploying these changes to the Embers of Neltharion PTR today for testing. Please note that these adjustments are being made to abilities as they have been designed and tuned in the Embers of Neltharion patch, and some may not apply to how spells are tuned in the live game 10.0.7. Some of the adjustments below are to the PTR tuning of tiered items coming with the Aberrus, the Shadowed Crucible Raid. So the first class getting a lot of buffs here is Demon Hunter. Havoc Demon Hunter is seeing an 8% damage buff to Demon's Bite. This might be as a compensating buff for losing your current set bonus. But also Demon Blades getting increased by 8%, Fell Blade by 8%, Chaos Strike and Annihilation damage by 8%. The Serrated Glaive talent debuff duration increased to 15 seconds and now retains up to 30% additional duration when refreshed. It was previously 10 seconds. And they fixed an issue that prevented Chaos Theory's talent bonus to crit chance from affecting offhand hits of Chaos Strike and Annihilation. So some buffs coming through for Demon Hunter. For Feral Druids, we see just all damage abilities increased by 5%. Just a flat out 5% damage increase. That's going to feel really nice on Feral, I think, overall. For Restoration Druid, we've got your tier set bonus. Your 2-set bonus now increases Life Bloom and Rejuvenation Healing by 10% down from 12. Really hate to see that, at least in PvP as a Resto Druid. Like, you're already not great, and yeah. Feels bad for Resto Druids. For Evoker, we've got your 4-set bonus. It will now grant Essence Rush after 4 Empower spell casts was 3, so it's going to be a little bit more delayed now to get to this effect. For Hunter's Survival, your 4-set bonus will now reduce the cooldown of Wildfire Bomb by 1 second per 30 focus spent, was previously 25, and Kill Command now increases the damage of your next Wildfire Bomb by 40%, down from 75%, so likely this was too powerful in a Radiant environment or Mythic Plus environment. So we're seeing this nerfed, I can only imagine, for its AoE potential, but this will be a nerf that's likely felt in PvP. Do note at this time that set bonuses are already nerfed by 50% in PvP, so you know this nerf feels even more because now it's going to be 20% rather than whatever half of 75% is. My brain's not doing that right now, so you might feel this one even more. For Mage, ooh, a nerf on Fire Mage. Ignite damage reduced by 6%. Developers notes, the most recent buffs to Fire were slightly more than intended. We are going to reduce the damage of Ignite to keep it a relatively similar gain in single target while reducing the effectiveness of buffs in AoE. Now, I know for Fire Mages, at least in PvP, I think you'd really want to grab and capture the fantasy of basically Fire Mage from Wrath of the Lich King or Cataclysm as the ideal state of Fire Mage when it comes to PvP, and be all about dots and ramping up and melting down your opponents. So seeing a nerf to the dot as just like kind of a mathematical equation to equalize its damage with other classes, it's probably going to lose a bit of a flavor play, at least for its potential moving into this patch, but it did get a bunch of other damage buffs that are likely going to put it in a stronger position. I'll have that linked in a video at the end of this one. Windwalker Monk, you're getting a significant damage buff. Tiger Palm damage increased by 15%, Rising Sun Kick damage increased by 15%, and Blackout Kick by 8%. This buff right here could really put you in a solid position given the buffs that you've been getting up to this point. So definitely keep an eye on Windwalkers. This is an eye grabber for sure. For Paladins, your 2-set bonus is now going to increase the critical strike healing of Holy Shock by 60%, up from 15. So this would have been 7.5 in PvP. Now it's going to be 30% in PvP. A lot more instant healing for Holy Paladin, which is definitely needed, at least with how they're operating now. And I can only imagine they're operating moving forward. So it's a really solid buff to their instant healing. Light's Hammer healing increased by 60%. Holy Prism healing increased by 150%. And Holy Prism damage increased by 150%. I do wonder how much damage this could provide you in PvP, because this ability is really difficult to use in PvP, but in Mythic Plus, maybe with a lot of packs, big mobs, might be getting some decent pressure out with that. For prop paladins, Aegis of the Light specialization passive, stamina bonus reduced to 30% down from 35, and armor bonus reduced to 10 from 15, so nerfs to prop paladin. Righteous Protector's cooldown reduction is now 2 seconds down from 3, and Sentinel's health increases per stack is now 1% down from 2, so some pretty significant nerfs to prop paladin. Now Rogue, this is a class that I've really been wondering about, very curious about moving forward, because it kind of fell off a cliff in terms of viability in PvP. I do still think that is to note, because Demonology Warlocks and Rep Paladins are kind of the counter to Rogues, and they're just really powerful, so kind of preventing them from rising up. But here we go for Rogues. Fixed an issue that prevented Night Stalker's damage bonus from applying in its intended circumstances. And now for Assassination, a 5% damage increase to all of your spells, but not in PvP, so surprising to not see this come through for Assassination. Now, do you know, from my own personal testing, I don't think I've even encountered a Rogue, so this has to be based on their own internal testing or numbers they grabbed that I didn't happen to be in for a lobby with Rogue damage, which might mean that Rogues are actually in a good spot if you're not getting these buffs, despite like how I'm feeling about them being weak, or the perception being weak. Mutilate damage increased by 5%, not in PvP. And Venom damage increased by 5%, but not in PvP. Shiv damage increased by 20%, but not in PvP. Kingsbane damage increased by 12%, but not in PvP. So Assassination Rogues, you guys might actually be a really scary spec, the fact that you're not getting these, or this is just like they don't know how weak they are kind of deal. So it's like, it's either one or the other. You're either gonna be really weak because randomly you're not getting the buffs that you need, or you're actually already insane given that they're not giving you this. So we're gonna have to wait and see with Assassination. For Outlaw Rogue, you are getting a 5% dispatch damage buff that will be in PvP. Between the Eyes damage increased by 20%, that is in PvP. Similarly, Dispatched Talent now increases dispatch damage by 6% per stack to a maximum of 30. It was previously 5 to 25, so more buffs to your talents. Developers notes, while the buff will provide the correctly updated bonus, the tooltip for the base talent will be changed in a future update. For Subtlety Rogue, Shadow Strike damage is a 10% buff, and Eviscerate damage is a 6% buff. Subtlety Rogue is like one of the most potentially dangerous in terms of viability in PvP for this patch, because this is the big like obliterator of crowd control, which you would then think that Subtlety Rogue is just going to be completely at the mercy of the game. So seeing buffs towards their damage is likely going to be necessary. So this makes sense to me. For Elemental Shaman, we are seeing the 2-set bonus now grant 1 stack of Stormkeeper down from 2. Ouch. Ooh. You're only going to get 1 instant lightning bolt. I actually wonder how they would nerf that in PvP, because you're not going to get a half a stack, right? And you wouldn't have got 1 stack if you had 2. You would just got 2 stacks. Some of these set bonuses you can actually nerf by 50% in PvP, which is kind of interesting. Ooh, but you're only getting 1 now? Your 4-set bonus is now only grants 50% increased Maelstrom down from 75. So some pretty big nerfs to Ellie here. This must have been like insane chain lightning damage in the raid testing or something to see nerfs like this. For Restoration Shaman, your 2-set bonus, Tidewater's healing increased by 30%, so buffs towards Restoration Shamans. For Warlock, we are seeing Demonology. Demonology received some powerful single target additions to their talent tree in 10.0.7. We're making these adjustments after observing that their throughput is a bit higher than what was originally intended, and that these talents have overshadowed other talents. We'll continue to monitor Demonology along with Affliction and Destruction and appreciate the community's continued feedback. Reign of Tyranny now increases the damage of Demonic Tyrant by 40% down from 50. And Immutable Hatred now increases the damage of Legion Strike by 100% down from 120%, but does not affect in PvP. So Legion Strike will still be hitting hard, but Tyrant will be doing 10% less damage in PvP and in PvE. Try and get you to use the other pools. This is kind of the main problem with the talent trees, is that you nerf one and then the other one becomes stronger and everybody takes that, and then you try to nerf that and then the other one is better now, and it's just like, I don't know how they're ever gonna not have it so everybody's just taking the highest throughput talents. Given how easily how accessible the information is now to get. For Warrior, all damage abilities increased by 4%, but not in PvP. This one makes sense. Auto attack damage increased by 12%, but not in PvP. Again, I think this makes sense. And for Fury Warriors, all damage increased by 4%, and your auto attack damage increased by 4%. Definitely something that Fury needed. Now, note that in this patch, they're increasing stamina by a lot. So classes with percentage-based healing, we've only seen a couple of tweaks to some spells, and I think that there are still some missing. Fury Warrior is one that stands out with a lot of kind of percentage-based healing effects. So Fury Warrior could be in a really good spot, and Windwalker with these damage buffs, given the fact that their defensive cooldowns and a lot of their healing is oriented around percentage-based healing, could be really strong. And I'm going to be doing my best in the near future to be constructing a tier list to start talking about where I think the potential for these classes are going to be. But this is honestly the biggest patch, the biggest shakeup we've ever seen, and we could be totally wrong about a lot of things. Like, I think moving into this patch, we're expecting it to be really slow. We're expecting it to be really dampening paced. Given that they're increasing health, they're reducing crowd control, they're nerfing critical strike damage. But still, I'm getting some feedback from some people who come to my stream who've tested and said that it feels really fast. So this is going to be a really tough patch. Like, it's really tough to predict. Hopefully, I'm going to get more testing in. I'm doing currently a lot of rank 1 arena playing. If you want to check that out on my stream, it'll be linked in the description down below. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that this has got you up to date, and I will see you in the next one.